as well as other issues. And this is the first in a series. We're only doing 2 in advance of releasing the budget, so that's not something we always do. And the budget will be released on the 15th of July, so just next week. That's a proposed budget from me and my administration, but ultimately the budget is passed by the County Commission in September. So we'll go over those dates with you. But this, as I say, is like a pre-session, and then in August, we'll have a series of 6 workshops throughout the county. Wednesday will be in North Dade. That will also be a virtual session. So anybody who's not able to attend in person, we encourage them to sign up and get online. And again, our purpose is to provide as much information as we can in advance of the final decisions about the budget. Hundreds of residents, indeed I would say thousands of residents, have participated over now going into my 6th year as your county mayor. And so we're going to continue, we're going to keep it up. That is a very critical part of how we formulate our priorities. And some of you may remember Thrive 305 that I conducted in my first year as mayor, which is the most extensive community engagement process in the history of Miami-Dade County government. How many of you had some part in Thrive 305? Oh, that's great. Okay. Repeat your regulars. That's great. And that really has formed the framework for how we have moved forward, and we'll be sharing in the budget document a new strategic plan that very much grew out of that original Thrive 305 plan with 5 key areas. So the budget is going to be reorganized to comport with those priorities, because we do strategic planning every, how many years, Ray, Carlos? How many years? 5. I thought so, just checking. Carlos Maxwell is our lead on strategic planning in the county. Thank you, Carlos. Okay, so let's get started. I don't want to waste time on the introduction. I want to really get into the meat and potatoes of it, or the tofu and potatoes, as you will. Okay, what we're going to cover today. There should be a slide. I hope I'm not blocking the screen. Everybody can see?
Yeah.
Thank you, Cassandra. Okay, we're going to cover where we are, what's our budget picture look like this year, what are the impacts of property tax reform that has been proposed and to be on the ballot, what is in your county budget today and in the future, WISE 305, which was the initiative that I announced a year and a half ago to increase our efficiency and accountability. Of course, we've always strived for those things, but looking ahead, we knew that we were going to have to do more with less, if you will, and so we worked hard, and we'll be able to report on some of our progress, and then next steps. All right, so let's deep dive. Okay, where are we today? Last year, how many of you were part of our budget town halls last year? Okay, that's almost everybody in this room. Again, you're regulars, that's great. It was a very challenging year. It was the first year in which we had to incorporate fully, for a full year's budget, the new constitutional offices that had been approved by constitutional amendment. Also, the tax rolls did not grow at the same rate they had in the prior year, so that was a challenge. And of course, we're always going to do our very best to spend taxpayer dollars wisely. But last year, to get to a balanced budget, because we never have a deficit, there's no such thing, we can't print money here. So to get to that balanced budget, we had a long way to go, and we worked hard with the community and with our departments to make sure that we could have a balanced budget while keeping services intact. And we were able to do that using some short-term funding. And this year, not as much flexibility, so you'll soon hear some of those challenges. To underscore, we led with this last year. The constitutional elected offices draw from the exact same pot of money that general fund county government does. So there's no new money because we have new offices. So everything that was done in the case of 3 particular offices that had been done inside county government is now done independently of county government. And that is the sheriff, the tax collector, and the supervisor of elections. So when you create a new office, that's typically going to cost more money, and that is what it did. And so and we were not able to, when we prepared the budget, know exactly what the future would hold in terms of what they could spend or not spend. This year, we are anticipating that, and so we're not presenting to you a budget shortfall. We are presenting to you a balanced budget, but one that does include some serious belt tightening. Okay, so even though the cost of doing business has increased, just like it has for all of your households, right? Cost of living, inflation, that's the norm. We are doing our very best to tackle those challenges head on and streamline county government so that we can continue to provide the most critical services that our residents rely upon, and our businesses too, while keeping taxes low. Okay, our next slide. Yes. All right, here we are at a budget town hall meeting. Typical one. Lots of people, very engaged, makes me happy. And so it has been my top priority as your mayor to be a good steward of public funds, to be accountable, to be resourceful, and to communicate with the public about how we're delivering services with your tax money. And that is why, with the support of the commission, we cut taxes, the property tax rate, 2 years in a row to the lowest rate in 40 years. And even though, people didn't always get the direct benefit of that, maybe because the property values went up so high, it was significant that we did it. Not all jurisdictions did it by any means, and we did bring the tax rate down very significantly to a historic low. And this year, in order to maintain a fiscally responsible budget, while continuing to maintain that historically low tax rate, we are continuing to provide an even leaner, more efficient county government. So just to put it into perspective, every day each of you sits down to figure out how you're going to spend your money, how you're going to stay within a budget, how you're going to cut non-essential spending to focus on the things that are really important to you, to shop for better value, to cut back where you can so that you can pay your bills that are most important. So that's how we all live day to day. And for some people, of course, harder than others. Very, very hard to get by, and we are living in a time of increased financial stress across the country, but certainly in this county. We know that people are having a really hard time paying the bills and managing as the cost of living has gone way up. And we need to be held to the same standard as your government. We need to be responsible stewards. We need to make those hard choices. We have to live within our means. And so we have been building next year's budget in the very same way that each of you in your personal lives or in your businesses or in your nonprofit organizations are doing the same thing, prioritizing core services and asking how every dollar can be justified. So under my authority as mayor, I have directed all of our departments to streamline their operations. And in the case of the departments that are dependent upon property taxes primarily, right, that's our general fund budget, your property tax dollars, we have held them to a 3% increase maximum over the prior year. Now, just to underscore that, that's not what it costs to provide those services. We actually are built, unfortunately, like all of you, it's more like an 8% that it costs to deliver those services. So when we direct them to keep it to 3%, means they're gonna have to make cuts. So that's what our departments have done in order for us to present a balanced budget. To do that, we've had to continue to find efficiencies over what we've done in the past, and certainly last year. We have to eliminate any duplication. We have to delay lower priority initiatives, and we need to just deliver services as cost effectively as we possibly can. So here's some of the numbers that you can reflect upon. Yes. Okay, so this is to put into context the property tax reform proposal, and we're just here to provide information. Okay, people will go to the polls, they'll vote their conscience, but people need to understand what is at stake, what the consequences would be of the proposal that's on the ballot. So what we've done is we've looked at what would be the impacts to the budgets of some of these general fund departments in the first year of implementation and in the second year of implementation of the property tax reform. And you can see these are very substantial reductions. overall, the first year, this is projected for county general fund property tax revenues, $385 million lost to the county, which our general fund budget is, help me out, Ray, what's our total general fund budget?
The $3 billion range.
About $3 billion. So this is more than 10%, correct? Okay. And in the second year, basically it doubles, so more than 20%. So that's a significant cut to the services that have been provided, that people are used to, and that we've been delivering to great satisfaction, I believe, in our community. So just to name a couple, how many of you are particularly interested in animal services? We have animal advocates in the house? Yeah, proud, wave, okay. So we're looking at a 33 million projected reduction in animal services in the first year alone. In the libraries, how many of you are library fans? Oh, good, we have a lot of readers. Of course, libraries do much more than provide books. The library, even though it has a separate millage, that millage would be decreased as well. So we're looking at, again, a very significant cut of 134. Now, just to be clear, these things will lead to reductions in our ability to pick up stray animals, our ability to provide adoption services, mobile adoption for the pets, for the libraries. Likely we would have to close branch libraries, close programming. Parks, how many of you are parks advocates, right? I mean, we all learned about the importance of parks, especially during COVID, when, of course, it was safe to be outside, and parks have become a high priority for our community. This would mean closing parks and closing parks programming. Transit. Okay, yeah, hands up, transit. Okay. By the way, transit is looking really good during the World Cup, wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. Very good, congratulations. Doing a great job. And we're going to take lessons learned from that. Oh, we have Transit Alliance in the house, thank you. Yes, so this is very significant. This definitely will lead to cuts in routes and time schedules, employees, etc. Community services, how many of you are involved or concerned about social services, community services? Yes, I recognize many of you. Not our largest department by any means, but a significant cut as well to those programs. Cultural affairs, here we are at our wonderful Dennis Moss Center. Yes, let's give it up for the arts and culture. So, unfortunately, again, not the largest of our departments, but we'll take a very significant percentage cut hit. Jackson Hospital, which is part of the county service delivery system. Very, very big cut, very substantial cut. So, just to be clear, property taxes, we don't have a state income tax here in Florida. We're one of, I think, 7 states without it in the country. Other states fund a lot of their local services through state property taxes. We don't have that, state income tax, we don't have that, so we rely on our property tax rolls. And we know that people are struggling, and so this was an effort to try to assist people, but in many cases, it's really the insurance that is a big hit for homeowners, not just the property tax itself, because we do have homestead, which helps a lot of people too. We understand the struggle, but we also understand that people want these services. So we're just trying to make it clear, and we'll have more detailed information as we move forward. Okay, safety, fire. Okay, we have our fire chief here. We have many of our department directors here, but we have our fire chief here. I just want to give him a shout out because we just brought back our urban search and rescue team that went to Venezuela to help out with fire. We're so proud. We have the best of the best, and together with the city of Miami-Dade, they really provide comfort, and they are totally driven to help out. I saw them firsthand at work in Surfside, and I'll never be the same. It was incredible. So fire also will experience a loss of 83 million potentially in the first year and growing to 146 million by the second year. Okay, now let's look at how we break down the budget. These are the new categories, by the way, sneak preview of how the budget book will be organized. I'm very pleased about this. So thank you everyone who has made this possible. We think that this really correlates to things that people care about. We're gonna build an economy that works for everyone. How many are for that? All right, that's been my priority all along, a big reason I came into office. Fiscal responsibility and efficiency, we've been talking about that. Obviously, we need to be good stewards of the public purse. Investments in infrastructure, right? We have to take care of things like the airport, like our transit system, like our roads. Unfortunately, not enough money to fix all those things, but we're doubling down. Certainly, we've made a $14 billion investment at the airport, just as one example. And we need to continue to invest. Water, we have the largest infrastructure program in the state's history for water and sewer. That's to keep our bay clean, to keep our water safe, and is very necessary. And by the way, we're putting out a memo very shortly proposing, unfortunately, a small increase in water sewer rates, and that is so that we can continue to maintain that infrastructure. And if we don't, we'll have to discontinue some of those critical projects that are required to meet federal and state standards. Healthy and safe communities, right? Safety first, healthy, including our mental health and wellness, so critical, and risk reduction and resilience. So those are our 5 priority categories, and the budget will be organized about that way. Okay, let's look at, just a few comments about how well we've done in that. We are one of the safest metropolitan areas in the entire nation, and that has continued even with the new leadership at the Sheriff's Office. So kudos to our law enforcement that keeps us safe every day, and our fire rescue team as well, which is rated #1 large fire department in the country. And we're also #1, this is a wonderful statistic that we didn't know about, learned about. We're #1 in the nation for small business openings. How about that? Yes, and of course we provide a lot of support to our small businesses. It's been a key part of my administration. And I want to acknowledge Manny Sid. There's the guy. Can you just stand, Manny, who helped put that all together for us? Is Daniella Levine here, our procurement, chief of strategic procurement? Okay, we'll let you represent. Okay, great. All right, budget breakdown. So how do we spend your money? We have a capital budget and we have operating budget. And here we go. Can you see those numbers? I can barely see them on my slide here. So about 37%, of 37% or 4.6 billion of the general fund is capital. Is that right? Did I say that right?
35. 30%.
Okay, 35. And the rest is operating. You do the arithmetic. 65, very good. I knew you were listening. Okay, now, on the, of the operating budget, we're going to say roughly $8 billion. We break it down again between proprietary and tax supported. So if I misspoke before, this is the total budget. It includes the departments that are so-called proprietary, meaning they produce the revenue and they keep the revenue in the department. So that's, and we're going to go into which is which. So general fund uses the property tax dollars. The proprietary use other sources of revenue like fees. Airport, for example, everything raised at the airport stays at the airport, same with the seaport, same with our building department. Our fire, our libraries have all dedicated funding. Okay, so that was 13 billion. Of the 13 billion overall, a third is capital and the rest is operating. Okay, so capital expenses are for major purchases, our buildings, our vehicles, our public housing, our infrastructure and our equipment, and operating is our day-to-day functions, like how we deliver those services, how we pay employees and keep the lights on. Very bright lights here in the house. Some of our operating budget is proprietary, like I said, and that's roughly 77%. You told me 72, right? I was corrected. What's the percentage, right?
I'm sorry, which one?
Of operating budget that is based on general revenue, property, yes.
72 or 74?
I have 77. I'm going to stick with it.
Okay, stick with it.
Stick with that. More details on July 15th. Okay, we're still working on it. But we are dependent on a fixed amount of revenue. That's the critical point. We just can't go out and print money. We can't just go out and say, give us more. So now we're gonna show you how your tax dollars are at work in the operating arena, okay? Very good. I wanna point out the purple sliver. Those are the constitutionals. Which obviously we didn't used to have such a big sliver, but with the increased, of those separate offices, out of $1, your typical dollar, 14 cents on the dollar is going to the constitutionals from our general revenue or property tax. And then the biggest share is, this is why we're changing the categories, because it's hard to really understand. Like public safety includes corrections and fire, emergency management, those are all public safety functions. They're not part of the sheriff's department, and that's a very large section as well. Economic drivers, that would be the airport and the seaport primarily, are the green sliver, a very large sliver as well. Okay, so let's find the sliver, if you can, on where do we fund roads, transportation and mobility. It's a little kind of aqua sliver, 8 cents on the dollar. That's why the roads are not in as great repair as we would like. And that's why we can't make major transit improvements at the speed we would like, because it's a small sliver of the budget. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, let's go your tax dollars at work. Next slide. So we talked about the difference between proprietary or fee-based and the tax or property tax supported. Water and sewer, you pay a fee to water and sewer and you get your service. We do not subsidize it with your property taxes. So what you pay covers the cost. Same with your solid waste pickup. What you pay covers the cost of collection and disposal. The airport, as I said, the money stays right there, from landing fees, from the concessions. The seaport, the same. And P.S., you all know that the airport and the seaport are the largest economic drivers, not just in Miami-Dade County, but in the entire state of Florida. Okay. On the other side, what do we pay for with the property taxes? The constitutional offices, there are 5 of them. I mentioned 3, also the property appraiser and the clerk of the courts. Fire rescue with a dedicated millage, but still property tax. Transportation and public works, I already explained how little we have to really do what we need in public works and transportation. Libraries, dedicated millage for libraries. How many libraries do we have now, Lydia? 51? 51 libraries. Great. And new ones coming online, which we're very excited about. Congratulations. Parks. We have how many parks? There's Christina White, our Parks Director, 309 county parks. How about that? And they're all different and they're all wonderful, thank you. And then corrections and rehabilitation. You know, we are the safest, one of the safest jails, correction systems in the nation. We have received commendations. We have been freed of federal oversight because of the improvements that we've made. We've launched innovative programming in our corrections department on re-entry to reduce recidivism and to reduce any risk to our inmates and our employees. So, I tell people one of my proudest prouds during my tenure that we've done such a good job. Sharia Green is here, our corrections director. Thank you so much, Sharia. Okay, that's it. That's general fund. Okay, fiscal discipline, slide 10. Okay, this is where we got to work and we were able to generate in this year's budget $42 million in savings, which was really significant, and we have to thank our departments for really looking closely and finding efficiencies. That money we can carry forward to next year's budget. to help us meet the operational needs. And on top of that, as I mentioned, we've directed our general fund departments in almost all cases to limit their expenditures to 3% above, even though their costs have gone up on average 8%. So that does mean reductions in programming in some cases, but mostly efficiencies. And so we're also asking our constitutional officers to do the same, to tighten their belts. So we're in discussions with our constitutional offices to help them bring their requests into the modern era as well. Some of them have requested higher growth, and we are working alongside them to come up with a balanced budget that will assure all of us that we're living within our means. So stay tuned, because that will be a big part of the discussion. Okay, slide 11, our priorities. Core services. People have come to rely upon. We're proud of our core services. We want to continue to provide them, so that is obviously what we focus on. We need to continue investing there, but we also need to find savings. And I'm very proud that we've been able to do that, and will continue to do in the coming year. We know that our community has priorities. We want to hear from you today. Shortly we will. I'm almost done with my presentation. But we wanted to share with you some of the challenges as we build this budget. Like I said, this is not our only opportunity. We will be having a series of meetings in August, so stay tuned to that. So here we go, talking about our essential community government services. So the trash needs to be picked up. The water needs to be clean water and efficient sewer. We need public safety, our police, our fire, our corrections, our emergency management, housing. I've declared that to be a critical priority in our county, and I labeled it in 2022 a housing crisis, and we have been really knocking it out of the park, hitting it out of the park. You know, Nathan Kogan is here, I saw him somewhere, our housing and community development director, and with the wonderful department, we've been able to build how many units of affordable since I started? 15,000? And how many in the pipeline?
Another 21.
Another 21,000 units of affordable and workforce housing in the pipeline. That is an applause line they need. Okay. Slide 13. WISE 305. I already gave you some headlines here, but we're still at it. And of course, we welcome your suggestions. There are more than 30 projects that were identified by our staff, by our departments, of how to improve and streamline government services. And here are just a few examples I'll mention. At our airport, we launched AI-powered wayfinding. And Ralph Coutier, our director, is here. Thank you, Ralph. So we have real-time automated support that ensures accurate information is available. People are getting used to it. And we do have volunteers and our lightning crew on hand to help out, but we also wanted to find other ways that were cost efficient to help make sure people could get around it. We also launched a new app for wayfinding at the airport through our partnership with Miami-Dade Innovation Authority. And in 1 month alone, since we started this, we've saved approximately 260 staff hours and handled more than 4,500 after-hour messages, because of course the airport never sleeps. So that is really important. Another example is in our Department of People and Internal Operations, and our director, Raimundo.
What's your last name?
Okay, Raimundo Gonzalez.
Delgado.
Delgado, thank you, Raimundo, he's new. Okay, Raimundo, where are you?
He's right here.
Right here.
Oh, right in front of me. Okay, so our fleet operations has achieved approximately $15 million in labor cost savings by performing maintenance and repair services in-house rather than outsourcing. So that one thing alone, $15 million. And we've also realized $4 million in fuel savings through procurement in a strategic way compared to retail fuel pricing. So that's right there, $19 million saved by PIOD. Congratulations. Okay. I'm also steering with Jay Fink, our water and sewer director, and Ashley Thomas, our interim cultural affairs director. So if I passed by too quickly, I want to acknowledge them. And Ray Baker will be answering questions later, our budget director. We have, my goodness, okay, I got started, but we'll be introducing the rest of them as the questions come up. So we have maintained a strong fiscal position. Yes, I did want to mention our bond rating. I don't have the numbers here in front of me, but how much have we saved through our improved bond ratings? We're just putting out a memo on that. Just 1 minute, please. So basically, taxpayer money is saved when our bond rating increases. And our bonds have increased steadily since I've come in as mayor. I'm extremely proud of our bond division. And so we put out a memo to the board, where we're about to put it out, that highlights many millions of savings. Okay.
What's the number?
Yes.
So the financings we've done over those years have generated gross debt service savings of $847 million over the last
847 million since 2020.
Wow.
And that's directly to taxpayers, right? Very, very proud of that work. Okay, so now looking ahead, what's going to happen? This is our timeline. In May, we got the budget submissions from some of our departments. And only, at this point, only the tax collector has not submitted. So of the 5, we have 4, and we have also made certain assumptions about the surplus. They cannot maintain a surplus, so if they don't spend it in this tax year, then it comes back into the general fund pot. In July, the tax the tax roll was released by the property appraiser. It went down just a little bit. So that is unusual, but we had to make further adjustments, tighten our belts a little bit further. And we are submitting our budget July 15th, and we'll have a precedent, and we'll roll it out. The millage is set by the commission, and July 16th, there's a special meeting to set the millage.
21.
July 21, it says last year. July 21, they will set the maximum millage. They could bring it down, but the maximum millage. We are proposing a flat millage, meaning not to go up but not to go down this year because of the challenges. And then in August, we get the tax collector's budget submission, August 1, and then property tax notices, trim notices are mailed. We'll have our public workshops in August, and in September, the first budget hearing is September 4th, and the second on September 18th, when the budget is finally adopted. So, we're going to go into our questions portion, and we will be aided by none